September would matter.
Will matter. So the NFF has to organize high-profile friendlies. They have to be consistent in organizing friendly games for the players. Our players must show up for some of these friendly games. It doesn't mean because you are at your club, it's a friendly game.
You must take national team duties
very serious. Because if you go beyond, if you go below the fifth position, then when you have the top 5, you are going to find yourself in the other city where you are likely going to see teams like Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, or Mali for the final qualifiers. I know, even though we see ourselves as African champions, the World Cup qualifier.
Dread some of those teams.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on from the FIFA rankings. Let's talk about some decision made by World Football Governing Body FIFA on some African teams. Let's talk about Cameroon for a while, Junodi. Cameroon, well, I mean, on two sides. Well, they've been awarded 3 points and 3 goals on one side, and they've also received a provisional ban from FIFA. So it cut both ways. I don't know if it's good news. Togo fielded an ineligible player. So 3 points, 3 goals on one side. But because of interference, government interference, they have been provisionally suspended. And this will affect the FIFA 2014 World Cup qualifiers and their team, Cotton Sport, on the continent. So how do you balance all of this?
That shows that the policies of the game, the boardroom, is very key.
Okay.
Because the crisis from the boardroom will affect the football on the pitch.
On the field, yes.
They got 3.3 goals from that boardroom decision by FIFA. The other boardroom aspect
came against them. All that they have achieved will be swept away.
It's provisional.
I know.
Because FIFA gave a condition.
We've had that threat over us many times.
FIFA gave a condition. Please try to organize your election. Somebody won the election. Somebody was in prison. They feeded a proxy to contest election for him. He was in prison.
Okay.
He was detained. So they feeded a proxy. The proxy won on his behalf. FIFA said the Cameroon said no. The FIFA endorsed the election. The Cameroon said said you can't work. But people said, well, you can't work. But is it within the statute of the FA? If it's within the statute, so be it. Right. So and they said they want to set up a caretaker, which FIFA is against in all.
Let me ask you a question before we go on a break. Does FIFA understand the peculiarities of the African region? Sometimes when they come up with government interference, can any African team run smoothly without government funds? Maybe South Africa, but apart from South Africa and 1 or 2 North African countries, which will make me ask you if, FIFA is right in asking the government not to interfere in football.
No, yes. I think what FIFA is trying to do, even though we have our peculiarities in Africa where we run to the government for funding, we hardly get funding from the private sector, we can't generate funds. The peculiarity of our economies is not buoyant, it's not boisterous. Surrounding our economies.
Factors.
Yes, a lot of factors, and of course, remember, you can't even natural disasters. We have the poverty issue, we have underdevelopment, poor infrastructure, corruption going in, so we can't access funds from the private sector. Even people say we have the potentials in Africa, but we have to go to the government to get this fund. But again, you go to the government to get fund. If the government because the government want to see how, because who plays the piper dictate the tune.
Sure.
But what FIFA is trying to do is, okay, even though we know your popularity, but when it comes to administrative aspect, try to align with standard which they set for you. It's like a treaty. You sign into that treaty. You must obey the laws of that treaty.
So I give money, and when decisions are taken, I should keep quiet.
But at the end of the day, if you get banned, we know what happened in our own case. They gave us 48 hours, but we know what happened within 24 hours.
And some of these countries will not be in those FIFA competitions without the help of the government. So if the government stays away...
if the government stays away, but football is big public relations stunt for the government. All over Africa. All over Africa. That's why in Nigeria, some of these governors will not take their hands off clubs. In spite of the problems, they still pump the money. The Nations Cup is the biggest. I know what the Nations Cup give to the government in Nigeria. Okay.
So, well, I just think we think on the show that FIFA should just try to strike that balance because of the peculiarities of Africa. And hopefully this will not deny Africa the chance of seeing one of the best teams on the continent make it to the 2014 FIFA World Cup. Although they have to make it first, but of course we'll...
on top of that team.
Yes.
Based on that decision. But the other decision until FIFA...
They won't be able to play the final match if this ban is not lifted.
15 and September, they can sort it since how. If Nigeria can do that within 24 hours, why not Cameroon?
right, that game ended 2-1 in favor of MFM. It was a battle of two churches, and of course MFM coming out on top. Well, let's look at some decisions taken by the Nigerian National League, the body that's in charge of the league. Some decisions have been taken, and what you have on screen, Dunodi, NNL puts week 28 and 29.
Week 29 and week 30.
Okay, week 29 and 30. The NNL put it on hold, and they released a communique yesterday after some deliberations, and they came to some conclusions. Some decisions were reached, and we're going to talk about some of these decisions that were taken. But the most crucial and important one is this one. These matches will be put on hold for now, and some decisions that were taken will now come into the fore.
We know we have some outstanding games. A team pulled out in the earliest part of the season. Suddenly their games were put on hold. They didn't play, but another team replaced that team. It continued from where the other team stopped. The team from Bayelsa stopped. So a team from Ekiti, Fountain, took over. So it means Fountain continue where Divine Warriors of Brass stopped. So the game involving Fountain has to complete some of those games. So that we don't have a situation where we have sellouts, passive sellout, because some of the clubs have been complaining that we are likely going to have some kind of match fixing as we approach the final stretch of this league. So, and these are decisions taken. The NLL, we had this one. We're going to put that on for 2 weeks.
That's the first thing we said.
Yeah, the first thing. The second one is that they resolved that the first those 2 games in contention, week 29 and 30, the games are going to be handled by Premier League referees, because some of the clubs are complaining about the referees that handle national league games.
And we are down to the business. They're down to the business end.
So these referees, they know them. They know how to.
The spirit of fairness.
Fairness. So yes. So the Premier League referees will have their hands full when they involving these teams in national league, because it's very intense. The policy there is so hot and very unhealthy. The competition is very unhealthy because of the way some teams run their affairs, the way some teams conduct themselves. And they also confirmed the withdrawal of
Tampa United and Upper United,
who said they couldn't continue the league because of financial constraints. But then they said the rules of the game is that all games involving Tampa United and Upper United